An American teacher who went missing when the earthquake and tsunami struck Japan just over a week ago is no longer missing. The family of 24-year-old Taylor Anderson said they received a call from the U.S. Embassy with the devastating news that her body has been found. Anderson had been in Japan teaching English for the past 2 years, and she was due to return home in August. Operators at Japan's Fukushima nuclear power plant suffered several setbacks today. Workers had to evacuate twice after smoke started to rise from reactors 2 and 3. They also discovered some of the key pumps in the cooling system at reactor number 2 no longer work. Replacements have been ordered, but when they will arrive is unclear. The radiation coming from Fukushima forced the government today to ban the sale of raw milk, spinach, and canola from 4 Japanese jurisdictions. Traces of radiation were detected in those products over the weekend, although in amounts the government and health experts say do not pose a risk to human health in the short term. The USS George Washington is now moving away from Japan because of concerns that long-term exposure to radiation will damage the ship. At a meeting in Washington today, U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission officials said once again they do not expect the radioactive material at Fukushima to have any effect here in the United States. Still, in light of the disaster, the NRC says it is set to launch a 30-day quick-look evaluation of the disaster preparedness and the general conditions of the nuclear plants here in the United States.
We've looked at all of the information that we're getting from Japan. We've looked at the design basis for the U.S. Reactors. We continue with the inspection program, and we have a high degree of confidence that the 104 currently operating reactors, there's an adequate basis to assure adequate protection.
Joining me now, Massachusetts Congressman Ed Markey. Thanks for joining us tonight, Congressman.
Thank you.
Congressman, what is your confidence level in our inspection systems, in this industry as a whole, historically, in terms of the possibility of just human error occurring, even within systems that have certain reasonable designs to them?
Well, there's always been an assumption that man has the ability to make nuclear power plants in a way that Mother Nature or defects in the plans of those who are designing the plants will not result in meltdowns. But what we're seeing in Japan, once again, is a warning that Mother Nature laughs as man makes assumptions that it can protect against all of the eventualities. So my own feeling historically has been that there's been a lot of denial about the need to have truly effective evacuation plans and the distribution of potassium iodide to protect against thyroid cancer, the most likely serious consequence of being exposed to radiation, and that still moving forward, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is looking at, in fact, allowing for the licensing of new nuclear power plants on earthquake-prone parts of the United States.
Congressman, I'm going to put up a graphic of the 50-mile radius around the nuclear power plant closest to New York City. I put up 50 miles because that's what the United States government is recommending in Japan, that you get 50 miles away. Now, if Indian Point had anything happen to it, to evacuate 50 miles away from Indian Point means evacuating all of New York City except for Staten Island, much of the most populated sections of Long Island, all of Westchester County, virtually a lot of Connecticut, Pennsylvania. It is impossible to evacuate that area of about 20 million people in the time you would have to do it, which is why precautions that you're talking about, like iodine, become all the more important, isn't it?
Exactly. You know, in the event that there is a meltdown, and it happens quickly, you have to assume that there might be 4 or 5 people who say, I live over this way, my kids live over this way, I'm getting on the highway and heading that way, even as you're being told by the emergency evacuation people, you have to go this way. And meanwhile, there's going to be people over here who are being told to go this way, who are going to go that way on the highway. You can anticipate trying to evacuate 50 million people? Chaos. And so one of the protections, of course, is to hand out potassium iodide pills, especially so the children do not contract thyroid cancer. And yet, the Bush administration said no, they will not distribute it beyond a 10-mile radius. As you have pointed out, we're already evacuating people in Japan out to a 50-mile radius. And the consequence would be that for people from 10 miles out, the recommendation would be run, and run as fast as you can. Grab grandma, grab the kids, and just start running. And I just think it's unrealistic. I think that we should give people the prophylactic protections they need to protect their families against the most likely consequences, thyroid cancer, and to also go back now, after Japan, and take another look at these evacuation plans to make sure that they will be effective.
The first Governor Cuomo prevented the opening of the last nuclear power plant built in New York State on Long Island because it did not have a sufficient evacuation plan, in his view. Now his son, Governor Cuomo, is saying we should look at Indian Point and probably close it down because the evacuation plan makes no sense. The only plan they have is for 300,000 people who live within a 10-mile radius, and even that plan has been judged inadequate and wouldn't work for exactly the reasons you're saying. Is that first of all, they don't have the people who are really going to be out there telling you where to go. I mean, that was optimistic of you to suggest that there'd be people out there telling you which way to go. But you're right. People are going to be guessing which way they want to go when the evacuation starts, aren't they?
Well, the Shoreham nuclear power plant on Long Island that Mario Cuomo was responsible for leading the effort to make sure it did not open is a classic example. They build it at one end of Long Island, and yet if people wanted to evacuate at the far end of Long Island, they would have had to have driven past the nuclear power plant that was melting down, because their only other option was either to swim to Connecticut or swim to London, because you would actually have to bring your family towards the nuclear power plant to get off of Long Island. So that's just another classic example of where this hubris that an accident could never happen led to power plants being built in places that today we would never even consider it, although the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is considering licensing an AP1000 nuclear power plant, and that's a power plant that one of its senior scientists says could shatter like a glass cup in the event of an earthquake. So I just think we should step back, and my mother always said, Eddie, try to learn as many lessons vicariously as you can. It's better that way rather than learning them yourselves. We should look at Japan. We should realize there was an earthquake in Chile last year. There was an earthquake in New Zealand last year. There was an earthquake in Japan 2 weeks ago. The west coast of the United States is the fourth part of that quadrant in the Pacific, and we need to ensure that we now go back and ensure that the Diablo Canyon, San Onofre, power plants across the country can withstand an earthquake.
Congressman, I knew I was going to get your wisdom, the most dedicated voice on this subject in the Congress's history, but to get the wisdom of Eddie Markey's mother is more than I could have bargained for. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Congressman.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Lawrence.